How to tell if a guy is flirting. Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to be giving you 12 signs that a man is actually flirting with you. Now, if you go out onto the interwebs and you look for signs that he's actually flirting with you, you will find tons and tons of supposed signs that he's flirting with you. Some of them are quite good, and you'll see them on this list as well, and some of them honestly are not very good. One of the interesting things that I found when researching this topic was that some of the things really only pertained to very young, still immature men, and some of the things pertained more to more mature men who know what they want. I want to do in this video is really focus on, for the most part, signs that he's flirting with you from a high value man, the kind of man that you're looking to bring into your life. So I'm going to leave out all the silly things that they talk about, things like, oh, he's, nudging you, punching you, or whatever, things that very young and immature people do. I'm going to leave all that out, and I'm going to focus on ones that are more common to the high value man. I'm Kevin Anthony, and I am a certified sexologist, NLP practitioner, and sex, love, and relationship coach. And for over 10 years, I have been helping men, women, and couples have the relationship of their dreams and the best sex of their lives. Okay, let's dive right in. Number 12. He gives you lots of attention. This is a pretty obvious one. If he's giving you a lot of attention, especially if he's giving you more attention than, say, the other women who might be around, that is a very clear and obvious sign that he is flirting with you. Number 11, he tries to be funny. This is a strategy that pretty much all men use to make her laugh, to make her smile. So if he's really going out of his way to tell jokes or to be funny, to make you laugh in some way, that is definitely a sign that he is flirting with you. Number 10, he's trying to impress you. Pretty much every guy, when he's interested in a woman, will try to impress her in some way. Some men will go to much greater lengths than others. I generally kind of feel like the greater the lengths he goes, the more desperate he is to prove, which means he's probably actually not all that confident in who he is and what he has to bring to the table. But a little bit of impressing you is not necessarily a bad thing. Number 9, his body language is open and towards you. So you're having an interaction with somebody, you're not sure if he's flirting. If he's kind of closed off, if he's kind of like turned away, if he's kind of maybe looking at you like this, those are signs he's not that interested or not flirting. But if he's facing you and he's open in his body language, then that is a sign that he is potentially interested and flirting with you. Number 8, he makes eye contact with you. This is absolutely something that high-value, mature man should be doing when he's having a conversation with you. He should absolutely be making eye contact with you. This is a big problem with the younger generations. They have so much difficulty actually looking people in the eye in any situation. It's unfortunate. It is a byproduct of the modern age of being behind computer screens and being behind phones and being on lockdown and not having a lot of social interaction. They tend to have difficulty with social interaction. But a high value man who's interested in you should be looking at you directly in the eye. I always, of course, think the eyes, as they say, are the window to the soul, but I always think also that they are one of the most beautiful parts of a woman, and you can tell so much about who they are and what they want simply by looking into their eyes. Number 7, he compliments you. Absolutely. If he's interested in you, he's of course going to compliment you, or at least he should be. Now, he doesn't have to go out of his way to try to make stuff up, but it should come up naturally in the flow of interaction that you're having with him. So if he is actually noticing things, complimenting you, maybe complimenting your hair or your clothes or something that you've done, or maybe, a story that you've told him about something that you've done, that is definitely a sign that he's flirting with you. Number 6, he acts like a gentleman around you. Personally, I think that every man should be acting like a gentleman around every woman, regardless of whether or not they're flirting, but that's just not the case these days. So if you do see a man who is acting like a gentleman around you, there is a high likelihood that he is flirting with you. Now, myself personally, that doesn't always mean that I'm flirting with a woman. I think that a man should always be a gentleman. So I will open car doors for people that are not my girlfriend or not my partner, if they happen to be, traveling in the same car or whatever. So, it doesn't always mean that, but for most people, if they're actually going out of their way to do those things, it is a sign that they're flirting with you. Number 5, he asks questions that are attempting to get to know who you are. So if somebody isn't interested in you, but they're having a conversation with you, they'll often ask kind of shallow questions, things that aren't really getting to like, who is this person I'm having a conversation with. They're more like, oh, how you doing today? How is the weather? Blah, 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 kind of surface level chit chat conversation. But if he's really interested in you, he's going to ask much deeper questions because he wants to actually get to know who you are. Number 4, he looks for opportunities to spend time with you. This is definitely a big one that sometimes gets overlooked. If he's actually looking for ways to coordinate your schedule, like, oh, you know what, it just so happens I'm going to be over in your area and I thought of you and therefore I wanted to reach out and see if you were available. That's just one example, but there are other ways in which, guys will do that, where they'll find ways or excuses or reasons why it's a good idea for you to get together. That's definitely a sign that he's flirting with you. Number 3, he has included some touch in your interaction. So, maybe he's put his hand on your knee, or maybe he's just got his leg up against your leg touching yours, that sort of thing. Maybe you're shoulder to shoulder versus having a little gap in between the two of you. If there is some touch involved, then likely he is flirting with you. Now, I'm obviously not talking about groping touch, but just subtle ways to be closer to you. Number 2, his flirtatious behavior is only with you. So you may see him interacting with other women and you notice that he's not interacting with them the same way that he interacts with you. And that's obviously a sign because he's not interested in those other women, so he's not flirting with them. Whereas when he sees you, he is interested and his flirtatious behavior sort of ramps up. In other words, he's more flirtatious with you than he would be with anybody else. And number 1, he teases you a little bit. Now, this one you'll see on a lot of lists out there, and I have to say, there is a fine line. In fact, I wasn't even sure I was going to put this one on the list because honestly, teasing a woman that you are interested in is a little potentially immature behavior. However, it can be used in a way, if done subtly and gently, that can actually create laughter and connection and depth. So that's why I decided ultimately to put it on the list. So by teasing her, I do not mean like giving her a hard time, making fun of her in any way, but maybe little jokes here or there that are appropriate, that are very obviously meant to be jokes. It's another way that you can potentially make her laugh, but there is a very fine line, and I say use this cautiously and sparingly. Let it be natural in instances where it feels like it's appropriate. Anything other than that is honestly just immature behavior. It's maybe one step above, like little kids when the little boy punches the little girl and she's like, why did he punch me? And then her friends are like, because he likes you. We just don't do that as mature adults, or at least we shouldn't be doing that as mature adults. But just a little bit of light teasing in an appropriate way could be a way to sort of defuse tension, make each other laugh, create a little bit of connection, but use that wisely. All right, so there you go. There are 12 signs that a guy is flirting. I hope that you found that helpful. And remember to go to polarityquiz.com and take the free Magnetic Feminine Polarity Quiz today. And if you want to find out more about me and the work that I do, you can go to kevinensleen.com/link in bio, all one word. The link is in the description.